Welcome all to Week 14. Week 13 turned out to be an unlucky week for us, just a terrible showing under 500 this week. Billy B is sitting pretty overall, and I'm back under 500 on the season. Last week's question of the week asked the viewers, which team from the AFC North will make the playoffs, and why? First off, we have Thrader, who thinks the Steelers will win due to their talent and easy schedule down the line. Cam Bam 14 thinks the Bengals will win the AFC North, shocking, where Cincy will have to upset Pitt and win their last 2 games to win it. And finally, we have Kevin Curry, who thinks the Ravens will win outright because their defense is playing well, and Joe Flacco usually steps up towards the end of the postseason. He definitely showed us he has what it takes in Week 13. Congrats to those who were featured, and don't forget to answer this week's question of the week. For the top 5 teams leading into Week 14, we round off number 5 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense took care of the red-hot Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta last weekend. And our top 4 will stay the same. Everyone has been holding steady towards the top. This leads us to this week's question of the week. This one was sent in by @PanthersMan1. Which quarterback gets sacked the most in Week 14? Comment your response down below, and the best comments get featured in next week's video. We did a special edition of the NFL Pick Series and picked this year's college playoff predictions. You can click here to watch that. In this year's YouTube Prognosticators Fantasy Football League, we see that Billy B and Chalupa Batman's got the first round buys, and this week is Gio Knows versus Keith Bailey and myself versus Half Moon's picks. Good luck to everyone in fantasy playoffs this week. Our first matchup looks like it could be a barn burner, but after a second half collapse for the Bills against the Raiders and a big Steelers win against the Giants, it's hard not to take the Steelers in this one. The Bills could play upset city and knock the Steelers out of the playoffs, but I think the Steelers hold their own destiny when it comes to making the playoffs. And I think the Bills will be another pit stop in their journey to the top of the AFC North. Take the Steelers -1 and straight up.
All right, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers -1 against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills went to Oakland and blew a big lead. Now they're coming all the way back across the country. The Steelers are coming off a big win against the Giants. They need to win all the games they can because they're chasing the Ravens for the division lead, so they need this game. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Bell, probably the best trio in the league, and I think they're going to put up big numbers in this game, so take the Steelers -1 and straight up.
Houston travels to Indy to take on the Colts in our second matchup this week. After Houston's battle and loss to the Packers and Andrew Luck firing on all cylinders against the worst passing defense in the league, this one will be a battle for the AFC South. I think I'm going against the grain here, but I like Houston in this matchup. I think they are a more complete football team all around and have a defense that can at least slow Luck down. Take the Texans +4 and straight up.
All right, I like the Indianapolis Colts -4 against the Houston Texans. I just think the Colts are a better team. They just came off a huge Monday night win against the Jets. Their offense is clicking. Andrew Luck is back. They should have beat the Texans the first time, but they blew the game at the end. So I think the Colts are going to come out focused, and this is for the division lead, and I think the Colts will end up winning the division. So take the Indianapolis Colts -4 and straight up.
An NFC South showdown between the Saints and Bucks highlights our video this week. By far, this one will be one of the top games of the week, along with Dallas and New York. The Saints couldn't get anything going against an underrated Lions defense, and the Bucks took care of Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Does anyone remember the smackdown that Atlanta put on the Bucks at home this season on Thursday Night Football? I think the same thing is going to happen here, but the Saints will be the ones dishing out the smackdown. They have the offensive weapons to throw down with the best, and Drew Brees is unlike any other. Take the Saints +2.5 and straight up.
All right, I like the New Orleans Saints +2.5 and straight up in this game. Drew Brees is coming off a horrible performance against the Lions at home, so I think he's going to bounce back in a big way, throw for over 300 yards and 3 or more touchdowns. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming from a game that was across the country in San Diego. It was a good win for them, but flying back across the country might be have them a little bit tired, so I think the Saints are going to catch them sleeping. So take the New Orleans Saints +2.5 and straight up.
The only other relevant team in the NFC South heads to the West Coast to take on the Rams. The Falcons looked absolutely abysmal last week against the Chiefs' defense, specifically Eric Berry, and the Rams, well, who could stop Tom Brady and the Patriots? I think that Atlanta will come out with a vengeance and get some much-needed pep in their step. It's unknown if Adrian Claiborne, Julio, and Sanu will play this week, but I have faith in the backups. As long as Matt Ryan plays lights out. Take Atlanta -6 and straight up.
All right, I like the Atlanta Falcons -6 against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams offense is just dreadful. They have trouble scoring points, and Atlanta Falcons are one of the best offenses in the league. So if they build a lead, the Rams are not built to play offense that way, throwing the ball. So I just think that the Falcons will build that lead and the Rams just won't be able to keep up with them, and they'll force Goff into some turnovers. So take the Atlanta Falcons -6 and straight up.
The stupid 49ers couldn't do anything last week, and this week I'm banking on this upset coming true. I'll take the Denver Broncos over the Titans, who just so happen to be favored. Titans have a good defense and have been finding ways to score, but the Broncos will put them to the real test.
All right, for my upset pick, I like the Arizona Cardinals +1 against the Miami Dolphins. The Cardinals are coming off a pretty big victory against the Washington Redskins, who were a hot team coming into that game. The offense got clicking for Arizona, and Miami played horrible against the Ravens. The Ravens offense, who isn't that good, put up a ton of points against this Dolphins defense. So I think that the Cardinals can use that blueprint and score. So take the Arizona Cardinals +1 and straight up.
And here's the rest of our picks for Week 14. For this week's Shane Report, we start with this dickhead, who said that the Giants would upset the Steelers, and we all see how that turned out. And lastly, we have all those people that didn't make the playoffs in fantasy football. I really do feel for you, especially the ones that put in for big money leagues. You've come all this way, you've set your lineups every week, and you just missed out. But that was not the case with me in the 2 leagues that I am in, and I am now battling for money in both leagues, and it feels good. In the Hatbox Pick'em League, Cameron Cressamore is raking in the wins and is still our sole leader, who has an average record of 126 and 64. He took a tumble in Week 13 though, and now the gap has decreased to 2 games to the next people. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your picks by the end of this week. In the Hatbox Survivor Pool, Week 13 has been kind to our final 3. Our Week 13 leader and overall last man undefeated is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans chose the Denver Broncos, who in turn won by 10 points. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your picks by the end of this week. After a crappy showing in Week 13, Week 14 can only look good. This week's Twitter question: predict the final score of the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Be sure to follow my account, retweet the Week 14 question, and use the hashtag HatboxNation14. This week, we will give away a cold weather beanie of the team of your choosing. Don't forget to set your lineups in my Pick'em and Survivor pools, and don't forget to answer this week's question of the week. I hope all of you have a great week making your predictions and enjoy the games. I'll see you dudesons in the next video. Peace.
Thank you.